If I can have your attention, please, we will get started. Ms. Whitby, if you'll call the roll.
Yes, sir. Ross?
Here.
White will be absent. Taylor?
Here.
Robinson?
Here.
Baxter?
Here.
Harris? Here. Height?
Here.
And Witcher?
Present.
A quorum is present, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Whitby. Ms. Ross is going to lead us in prayer and pledge. I invite you to stand if you would like.
Please bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for everything that you've given us. Please be with our city employees. Watch over and protect them, especially in this heat with the time coming. Be with our mayor. Help him to lead this city in the direction that we need to go. Please be with all the aldermen and give us the wisdom and knowledge we need to look at each and individual circumstance that comes up and all the legislation. Thank you for everything that you've given us. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion.
And to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Thank you. We have no special call, no presentations. How about communications? Anybody want to pull one?
3 and 4.
3 and 4?
2.
2, 3, 4, and I'd like 9 pulled. Any others?
I move we accept and file 1 through 9 with exceptions so noted.
Okay, how about a second?
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Number 2, do you want it by title or read?
Red, please, it's not that long.
Number 2 is an email from it's to North Little Rock department heads regarding a public hearing that will be held to get public input concerning parks and recreation needs. The North Little Rock Parks and Recreation Commission will hold a public hearing starting at 5:20 p.m. or directly following the regular scheduled commission meeting on Monday, June 19, 2017, at the North Little Rock Community Center, 2700 Willow Street. The purpose of this public hearing will be to get public input concerning parks and recreation needs for the city of North Little Rock. If you have recreational or parks needs or requests you want to address, please call the Parks and Recreation Administrative Office at 791-8538 by Wednesday, June 14, to be placed on the agenda to speak. Ideally, each person or organization should bring a written summary that lists requests in priority order with cost estimates. Ethnic minorities, elderly, and individuals with disabilities are encouraged to attend.
And move to accept and file.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Number 3, do you want it read or,
Read it.
okay?
This is a letter to North Little Rock Councilman, Mayor Smith, and officials. I, Evelyn Creel, have lived in the Meadow Park neighborhood for over 30 years. There have been many complaints at our neighborhood meetings about the nighttime noise generated by the scrap metal company on Highway 70, North Little Rock, and we have reported this to our aldermen. We were informed that the company's hours of operation are to end at 8 p.m. This time frame has not been honored, and the noise goes on late into the night. I do not live as close to the scrap metal business as some residents, but the noise disturbs me. Approximately 6 weeks ago, after 11 p.m., the noise was so loud it sounded as if someone was crashing cars in my front yard. The scrap metal company is located on the south side of our neighborhood and approximately 60 to 70 feet from the nearest residents that reside in the trailer park. The metal company yard and the trailer park are separated by a railroad track. The trailer park residents that I spoke with were all upset with the late night noise. Many reported the noise goes on at 3 and 4 a.m. and greatly disturbs them at night. Some of the residents said that they have reported the late night noise on many occasions with no results. We as a neighborhood do not oppose the business, and we realize that recycling is very important. However, we do oppose the after-hours noise pollution that is disturbing the rest and peace of the residents of Meadow Park. We are requesting that the late night noise restriction be enforced. Sincerely, Evelyn Creel.
Move to accept and file.
Second.
On the motion.
And just FYI, there were 140 signatures included with that on petitions. On the motion, Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Number 4, you want that read or by title?
Please read it.
Okay.
From Alderman Linda Robinson, I would like to express my concerns about the actions of Business Enterprise Metro Scrap Metals, Inc. I understand Metro Scrap Metals has a request to be considered by the City Council to change the hours allowed for their operation. The noise that is caused by this business at previous times has been very stressful to me. I am employed full-time, so I do not know very much about the situation during most daytime hours, but I do enjoy sitting on my porch or in the yard in the warm weather evenings, and there have been many times when the noise has caused me to stay inside. Please consider carefully any proposal the City Council receives from Metro Scrap Metals, Inc., Faye Buckaloo.
Move to accept and file.
Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Number 9,
Can I call that?
you can.
I think what I did, I didn't really have time to do a letter of introduction, but Brother Paul with Friendly Chapel brought me a check for the city just to say how much he appreciated what we do and all the things that we do. Honestly, tried to talk him out of it, and he absolutely and totally said no, that's what his congregation wanted to do. So what I would like to do, and with you accepting and filing this tonight, is the Police Athletic League is close to Brother Paul and a lot of his parishioners, and so I would like to accept this $2,000 and have our CFO earmark it to the Police Athletic League program. With that, a motion?
Move to
You
accept
need a
and file.
motion?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Ms. Scott, do you want this?
He wants the money.
Wow.
God.
Money,
I haven't seen
the
him
chief
move
will
that
come
mu-
get it,
that
yeah.
fast since high school.
Up here next time, and I want him to move.
Can you be trusted?
Yeah. Well, again, thank you to Brother Paul and his whole congregation. That's awful generous. And I talked to Will Jones today, who's president of PAL, and told him that this 2,000 was coming, and he assured me that that they would put it to good work for us. Okay, public comments on legislation, 1749, Jimmy Yard.
Good evening. Just a few comments, if you don't mind. I realize I don't live real close to that area, but would some of you want a car lot that close with 42 cars on it, if I understand correctly? I don't think that's the place to put a car lot. Y'all may see it different. That's your decision. But I'd like for you to think real hard before you vote yes. I'm not trying to put the guy out of business. I just don't think that's a proper spot to put it, and I'm surprised more people's not down here saying something about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ard. Lee, Jeffrey. OR 17101.
Yes, Mayor. I'm here to speak in behalf of Dixie Addition. You know, I've been calling Alderman Robinson for several years to try to get some of this CDBG money for the completion of the streets and sewers down in Dixie, and also want to get a piece of that pie for the investment of Partnership Homes. So that is my reason we're here, to see if we can finally get a piece of the pie.
Thank you very much, Lee. Ms. Boykin, Artis, what you got to say, girl?
Good evening. I have a couple of questions, and then I have some comments I'd like to make on this amendment for the CDBG grant program. Is this money going to be used to build one house or several houses, or?
Well, it's not very much money. It's only, what, $100 and something thousand? Yeah, so it won't build maybe one.
You won't, okay. In what area Do we plan to build this house?
I don't know. That'll be up to Habitat. That money would go to our, what do we call them?
Chodo.
Chodos, yeah.
Well, we have communities with older houses and older residents. I was just wondering, could the residents benefit more from these funds if we used home improvements, it seems like, for the elderly, rather than building one house or two houses, and I know Habitat uses sweat equity to match what the funds that they get. But it seems as if in these older neighborhoods with these older residents, we could use some of those funds to improve some of that property where the older residents don't have the funds actually to do that.
I agree with you 100%. However, the federal government has got our hands tied behind our backs on this one. Number one, they've lowered the amount so much, but they'll only give us, Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, $20,000. $25,000. And every time we get into trying to help redo one of those homes like that, we don't have enough money to do the replacement and to bring them up to code. So, plus I have to hire a full-time person to oversee it. So to manage $120,000 or $30,000, I got to hire a $50,000 person. So that only leaves us $70,000. So we just thought that this was probably the best direction to go, and you know, because all of our federal money has just gone way down, that we wanted the best bang for our buck. So if they would let us do what we wanted to do and pick our houses and spend $40,000 on a house and get it right, then we'd be more than happy to.
So as this money is a grant from the federal government, what is the possibility of the city of North Little Rock applying for a grant for home improvements?
Well, that's what this is.
I thought it said building houses.
Well, it's a community development, it's home funds, and the home funds were earmarked to renovate older homes just like you want, and that's exactly what we want. But we found that it's not enough money. They won't raise our limit. If they said, okay, we'll give you $50,000 per house, and we've got 150, I'd rather do 3 houses than one new one. So
You can do my house for $50,000.
can you? Well, your house looks like a new penny. Thank you, artist.
Thank you.
Terrell Sanders, 01749.
He's the applicant, so
You wanted,
he signed in. I didn't know if you wanted to.
do you want to speak before, just here to answer questions? Okay. All right, Shirley Simpson, so good to see you back, R1701.
I wanted to talk about the community block grant money because I was told that you're looking at building a house in just one part of town. I think Barron Cross is what I was told. What I'm going to ask you to do, rather than just build a house, there are a lot of houses throughout the city of North Little Rock, the East End, and other places that just need some work done on it. If you're determined to build a house in the Rose City area, there is a lot of vacant lots. There's some in Poe Edition as well. But the Rose City area needs them worse. So I'm asking you, before you make the decision, please look at all the other neighborhoods. Don't just build a house in one. And a lot of people don't know about the community block grant money. So they don't know that they could go down and sign up for it. So please consider it before you're making a decision, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You bet. We put a lot of thought into this, I assure you, before we brought this legislation up. We tried everything in the world to make it work. And when the federal government's giving you money and they set those guidelines, in the event that this, we vote on it and it passes, and we were going to build a brand new home, does Habitat, can they choose where they want that home to go? Sure. Bill Plunkett, who is
Yeah,
CEO of Habitat.
Thank you very much. I agree. By the way, we've repaired some 200 houses in North Little Rock already. I would be happy to do some more. That'll be a continuing, ongoing project. And we don't even ask for money for that. We do that with the money we've already got. So we're not asking for this money to do that. As far as where we build new houses, it's where our families want to live. And so we've got some constraints. It can't be in a floodplain. It can't be in an area that's got pollution because we can't use federal dollars to build there. And then we've got to find a homeowner that wants to live in the area that we're going to build in. All those things go into consideration before we actually even start the house. I have to have a homeowner that wants to live in the house before I can start it. So, and wherever the homeowners want to live, it's good with me, but we have built, 3 houses on that side of town. One of them is right across from the tie plant. But we've been told we can't build there anymore because there's pollution. We had a lot we wanted across the highway from there, and it was in the floodplain. Every time we go out there and look, we find that it's either in the floodplain or there's pollution and we're not allowed to build there. So that's what's foiled us so far. If you give us good lots and homeowner wants to live out there, I'm not opposed to building anywhere.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, help me understand this. Is that a habitat rule, or is that?
It's a federal rule.
Wait a minute, let me finish. The rule, if you have a person that wants to live there, or it's my understanding that a cholo can build a house anywhere and they sell it.
We sell it, and Kelly Sims is the head of the Churdo. I'm actually not. Kelly, do you want to answer that, or you want me to go? We sell it at a 0% mortgage.
Well, but I understand that.
30 years.
So the cholo builds a house.
Churdo builds a house, and then they get the principal back from the house over 20 to 30 years.
Okay, but the cholo can build a house anywhere.
They're under the same rules. It's not.
With the exception of the floodplain and soil pollution.
Yeah.
But so a cholo can build a house down Washington Avenue, down 2nd Street, or Rose City, and they can put the house on the market to be sold, correct?
They follow exactly the same program that we do. We've got to have a homeowner that wants to live there before we can do it. The program is basically exactly the same. Habitat builds a house for the Churdo, and then, I know there's no R in it, I'm sorry about that. We build a house for the Churdo, and then we are the bank, and we bank the money and give it back to the Churdo to use for housing in the future. Does that make sense?
No.
No?
It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense.
Well, it's no different. I mean, if we have homeowners that want to live in Rose City, and we've got property that meets the requirements, we could build there, and we'd be happy to.
Well, the reason it doesn't make sense to me, because I know of cholos that build homes and put them on the market to be sold, and it's not where somebody wants to live. They just build them and they sell them, and they have subsidies and other incentives for buyers to buy these houses, and they just sell them on the open market.
They do, and they go through a bank and they pay whatever the interest rate is that the bank charges them. And that's the difference in their program and ours. The program that we're participating in allows them to get a 0% mortgage, which basically you can't get anywhere else. No bank wants to do that. If you're not doing what we do, it doesn't make good sense for a bank to do it.
So again, is that a habitat rule or is that the cholo rule?
It's both. We don't build a house and turn around and sell it like on the open market. In fact, what we're trying to do is change people's lives by giving them an inexpensive, if you will, affordable, decent house to live in. Their house payment can't be more than 25% of their gross income, or what it cost us to build it, or what it appraises for, whichever's the least. By the way, it's always 25% of their gross income. So the houses that are being built by other Chertos, I don't know what they're sold for. I don't know who the banks are. I can't answer any of those questions, Alderman Taylor. I'm sorry, I don't, because we don't participate in that program. But we sell our house at a 0% mortgage, typical payment, including, and this is for both Habitat and the Cherto, including, not interest, but taxes and insurance is less than $400 a month. You can't rent a house trailer anywhere for $400 a month. But it gives people in that income group an opportunity to live in a really nice new house, a house that'll make a difference in their lives and change their kids' lives, and that's what we're trying to do. So as far as Rose City is concerned, I'm not opposed to Rose City. I mean, a lot of my good friends grew up in Rose City. You know, I mean, I think it's a great place. Y'all know I'm a North Little Rock boy. I'm not opposed to it at all. But I've got to have land, and I've got to have a homeowner that can live there, and it's got to meet the criteria of the federal government, which it can't be in a floodplain or pollution. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. All right, that's all public comments we have that are signed up, so I think we're ready to go on to the unfinished business.
Unfinished 01742, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
An ordinance reclassifying certain property located at 6801 Highway 70 in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas from C3 to I3 classification by amending ordinance number 7697 of the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas, adopting an amended land use plan for the subject property. First reading.
Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules, place on second reading.
Be the third reading, wouldn't it?
Third reading.
Yes.
No, this is the second reading. It was not read a second time last meeting.
Okay.
The motion is to place
Oh,
it on
yours-
the
oh,
third
sorry.
reading, right?
Is
Okay.
it for
The motion is to place this agenda item on the third reading.
third then?
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Let's have a discussion.
This piece of legislation really concerns me because it's 60 or 70 feet from some neighbors. Now, I see here in this list that I have here, they did start work one night or one morning at 3:59 a.m. And there are some 4 o'clock a.m.s. I've got a real problem with this, even though, you know, the neighbors submitted a petition with 140 signatures stating that they did not necessarily oppose the business. They opposed their hours of operation. Now, I would have a problem if they work late at night, but I'd also have a problem to hear the banging at 3:59 in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, you know. So we obviously, you know, have some real problems, and I don't know if we can take the company at their word to do what they say they're going to do. So I would like some measures put in place where they would operate during standard hours. And I don't know about the rest of you. You all may not have a problem being a company operating at 3:59 in the morning, you know. Like I said, the neighborhood does not oppose this company. They want some decent hours because they want to be able to rest and they want to be able to enjoy their property. So what would it take? Can we, and let me say this. I-3 is an intense zoning. And anytime a person want to put in an industrial use near a neighborhood, we need to either stop it or put some measures in place or some barriers where they will not intrude or be a nuisance to a neighborhood. Because an I-3 is an intense use. So we need to put some measures in place to help this neighborhood. So what do y'all suggest?
Mayor, I have a question. How long has that business been out there on?
I think at the last meeting, he said they've been
30
out
years.
there 20.
30 years.
30 years? And have we received any complaints about, until this legislation came up a couple of weeks ago, have we been receiving complaints about them operating after hours or late, early in the morning or anything? Have we received any complaints?
They've complained to me for years about this company.
And did you talk to did y'all have a meeting, the owners, you and the owners have a meeting?
I never had a meeting with the owners.
Y'all hadn't met? Y'all didn't meet?
Mm-mm.
Okay. It seems like I recall that they were here at the last council meeting, and they got up to the microphone and spoke, and they said that they had not been operating late at night since, what, 2 years ago or whatever, since the last time was the last time? Is that what they said?
But they have been operating early mornings, 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, I'm not doubting, I'm just saying, they said one thing, it's turned into a he said, they said, whatever, and I'm just trying to figure out who.
Well, I think Alderman Robinson is reading from the log here, so I don't know if it's a he said, she said or not. She's got data in front. I think what you have the same one.
Yeah, the thing in question last time was an 11 o'clock disturbance, and the company, told us that that was not them that was making that noise. And I know Ms. Creel, and she was the one that wrote the letter. I don't doubt that she heard something, but the company says that it wasn't them, and so I don't know where that noise is coming from.
They're not the only scrap metal place in that part of town, are they?
Well, off of Bethany, we have Tenenbaum, but Tenenbaum is not an issue and has not been an issue since Glenview sued Coppers. So Tenenbaum is not an issue for Glenview.
Thoughts, Mr. Taylor?
Well, yes, my thoughts are, just like the community said, I'm not against the business. I'm pro-business. I'm a small business owner myself. So I like to see businesses flourish and be able to develop and move forward. But the hat that I wear tonight says that my fiduciary duty falls with the citizens of North Little Rock, and to do what's in their best interest. And that would be to make sure that we put measures in place to make sure that they do what they say they're going to do. And if we approve this I-2 zoning, I think we should do it with a special use attached to it, stating hours of operation. If they violate the special use, then the zoning goes away. But there's a caveat to that if we grant this zoning with the special use, then they would have to also agree to do the special use on the other two parcels that they own. So the ball's kind of in their court. We can get this done, but we just need to put some restrictions in place because we have granted businesses uses in the city on good faith, and it's come back to bite us on several occasions. So unless we put some measures in place, I would have to be against it. But as long as we make sure we put the right measures in place, I think we can move forward and they can do business, and we have protections in place for our citizens.
Ms. Ross?
Okay, I know this is a straight rezone from a C3 to an I3, and conditional use would be to add conditions to it. Have we ever, or can we do anything on an I3 to add a condition?
So I think what you're asking is conditions on the existing I-3 or the proposed?
Proposed I-3.
So on the proposed spot, here's what I want you to think about. When someone owns a piece of property, the zoning on that property gives them a bundle of rights. So I want you to, in your mind, think about like having a bundle of sticks. And those are your rights, right, for whatever your property may be zoned. And what conditional uses and special uses do is add to the bundle, right? They don't take away rights, they add rights. So if you wanted to place conditions on the use, and I'd have to ask Mr. Spencer, but I think that I'm correct in that scrap metal recycling is a by right use in I-3. It is in your bundle of sticks. If you've got I-3, it is into your bundle of sticks. So if you rezone it as I-3, special conditional use, whatever, really would be irrelevant. You're adding a right to a right that he's already got. So you would want the property to be zoned I2 and then grant the special use or the conditional use, depending on whether or not you thought it ought to run with the land, right, or run with ownership, depending on what you wanted, right? And then the use of that property for that purpose, for recycling purpose, would be tied to that condition. If the conditions are broken, the use goes away. So the problem that you run into with this particular applicant is that 2 of the parcels are already zoned I3. That's a by right use. You know, so can we regulate that property? Sure we can. We've got noise ordinances, we've got things like that, and people have private rights of action to protect themselves. You know, it sounds like somebody did that with Tenenbaum maybe. But they can protect themselves, and we can also have laws that protect them like we do with our noise ordinance, but that's a process of enforcement, right? If you want to put hours of use, it would really have to be downzoned to I2, right? So what's the problem with that? Well, you can't just arbitrarily downzone somebody's property and take their use away from them without paying for it, right? So,
But
I mean,
you
if
can
they,
before it's approved, though. You could before it's approved, though. We could ask them to do
yes,
that.
absolutely,
So that's
absolutely.
what I'm-
Right, absolutely you could.
Of course.
But I'm talking about the other I2, I3 parcels. I think there's 2, there may be 1, but the other I3 parcels where this activity is already occurring, that is a by right use, you know, so they could submit a request to downzone it to I2 and couple that with a special use, but that's not something that the city would compel.
Well, the issue you're going to have here is, you know, from what I understand, this new piece of property that they're trying to get zoned, it's not going to be where they're going to be doing their work anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and when you've got 2 pieces of property or 3 that are right side by side, and one's I3 and the other one's I2, the special use, you know, you're just kind of hurting him to be able to sell his whole property at one point in time if he ever chose to sell. If they've been there 30 years, they're probably not looking to move, so. Ms. Ross?
Can we have the owner come up?
Excuse me?
Can we have the owner come up?
His attorney's here, Mr. Hilburn?
No, I want to talk to the owner.
Well, both of you. Y'all want to come up?
He's entitled to have representation.
I know he is, but I have a question. I have a question.
And we want to know where let the owner state his address where he lives.
Mr. Baxter, you comment, question?
So if we were to defeat this tonight, right, that's not going to preclude them from what's already occurring in the 2 I3 zones already. Is that correct, Alderman? Sorry.
Promotion.
I know. Sorry,
You're
Colonel.
making me feel big, right?
Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So that's the whole point, you know, within their bundle of sticks on the I-3,
Okay.
they have the right to do what they're doing there. They don't have the right to impede on the use and enjoyment of other people's property. We have laws about that. But they do have the right to run the business that they're doing without additional restrictions that you would normally put on special or conditional uses.
Okay.
Mr. Harris?
See, here's, when it came up last, you know, I thought, well, gosh, you know, this is, I was kind of unaware of I-3s already existed, you know, so it's like, okay, so, you know, but then when I learned that, it's like, okay, this is just an expansion. So it seems to me that we have a business owner that's been in business and now they're trying to expand. And also during our discussion last council meeting, we are kind of, it was what I learned was the expansion is going to provide more room and less chances of even working late because they don't have to work late to get material out of the way for the other shipping company. I don't know anything about it. I'm a home builder, I'm not a scrapper, okay, so I don't know. But that's, so it seems to me like now that this I-3 has come, then the citizens are something that's maybe been bugging them a little bit. You know, the issues kind of come up again. And so I think this is why, you know, I think we have a good business owner here. He's going to listen to his neighbors, and I don't think he's going to go out there and just infringe on their rights of noise and loudness just because they've got I-3. And so anyway, that's my comment. And so anyway.
Well,
I threw my 2 cents in.
Go ahead, Mr. Witcher, and then Ms. Ross.
All right. Regardless of what we do with this piece of legislation, they have the right to continue doing what they're doing. And we can't rescind their business right for the property that's already I-3. You know, like Mr. Harris, you know, I agree, you know, this provides an expansion of their property. And, you know, I'm sorry, but I just do not see a way for us to back into it. You know, they have not applied for I-2. They've applied for I-3. So our choice is to approve it or disapprove it.
Or to change it, or they can change their request on the floor.
Well, yeah.
So case in point, car lot down here at Broadway and Beach, that we approved a conditional use based on what the applicant told us, and about once a month I get a call from the neighbor about the mess that we put in his life. And I tried to fix it once, but I ain't having the support from this council to get it fixed. But he is making this man's life a living, yes, that. I mean, it is a mess, and can't get it fixed.
Ms. Ross.
Okay, now here's my question for the owner. You know, we've got, you know, the reports from the North Lark policemen that work off duty out there, and then we have the residents and everything, and then we have, you know, the hours here. So as the owner, I mean, I want to vote for this, but I also want to, you know, to try to help the neighborhood out. So can you expand on anything that possibly that could help the neighborhood, or as far as the hours? And, you know, I don't see any late hours. I see the 4:30 in the morning hours on the time clock on two employees. So I'm just looking for some reason to vote yes to help the neighbors and you.
Let me respond directly to the time cards that you guys have seen from the 4 o'clock, it was 4:59 in the morning, 4:57 in the morning, whatever it was. We, from time to time, our shipments out are very large shipments where we'll start at first light to get things going. And the loading that I'm referring to specifically is barge loading with our partners at the Bruce Oakley Inc. down at the North Little Rock Port, where we're supporting the local North Little Rock community by actually using their services rather than going across somewhere else onto one of the other ports that's not in North Little Rock. And what we have to do to get ready for that 6 a.m. start is we have to have people come in early to be able to grease cranes, to be able to get them ready for loading, to be able to fuel them up to where they're ready to be able to get going and get the equipment warmed up so that when it becomes safe to be doing so, they're ready to go. These people that you see that are on the payroll that started early, those are from the days when we were doing these loadings. They were there for the purpose of doing very quiet work compared to what we're referring to from the standpoint of the processing of material, which is a very loud bit of business. And what we're trying to be able to accomplish by expanding our footprint, as I stated here a few weeks ago, is to be able to allow us the opportunity to spread out, be able to put more equipment in place so that we can be able to accomplish keeping our hours down to a normal, regular work shift, which my guys work really hard, and a work shift for them is usually about 10 hours, but that's where we want to be able to keep it so that we can keep our overtime to a minimum. We don't want to be working at night, as I said before. It's something that's very expensive for us to do, and we want to be taking care of our responsibility. We made the offer at the request of Ms. Robinson earlier to be able to send notification to the city whenever we knew that we were going to be working late. And we still are happy to be able to do that. It's a very easy thing to do where we can be able to notify the mayor's office through email, so there's a record of it to where it's on the books that we said, yes, we're going to be needing to be doing this. Our expectation is we're going to be going from this hour to this hour. So if someone does call to either the North Little Rock Police Department or to the mayor's office, they can be able to say, well, they'll be done at this time approximately tonight.
Sir, what is your name?
I'm sorry, Mike Ronell.
Okay, thank you.
One of the principals at Metro Scrap Metals.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I do. So
Okay.
what's the absolute latest then? When you said that you could send an email or you could notify the residents, and you know, that way if Alderman Robinson or Taylor starts getting calls, they will know that they've been notified. So what's the latest?
Latest that we will make notification?
No, the latest that you would be working.
Well, I can tell you that since 2015, we've not had to go past midnight. I know that for a fact. We did have to do so, which is what the residents had issues with, and we did too, for that matter, back in 2014. But the reason for us working through the night, and we did work shifts where the guys were going all through the night with a couple of people operating, because we physically had no space to be able to put material down on the ground. And if we don't have a place to put it on the ground, we're out of business. We've got to be able to get it processed and back out again. So because of this expansion, we've been able to make more room. We've been able to bring in more processing equipment and to be able to get more done during the daylight hours and to be able to make it to where our employees can be able to have a life and they can be able to get home to their families. And we don't have to worry about a situation of nothing good happens at night. If you have a situation where you don't have the visibility and things like that, we bring in the lights and things like that, but we just don't want to be doing it. We want to be and have tried very hard to be the good corporate citizens and good neighbors to be able to eliminate this issue of having to be able to do these extra hours. So the direct answer to your question is, I can't say anything different than what happened back in 2014, where we did have to work through the night for about a month and a half period of time until we were able to get caught up. But that was a situation where, for that extended period of time, it was the one and only time that we've ever pulled a night shift in my being with the company now for 28 years, which we've been in North Little Rock now at this location since 1983, which is 34 years now.
Okay. I have one request, though. Before you leave, can you give Alderman Taylor and Robinson, if this passes, a 24-hour number that they can contact someone if it's going on, if they haven't received a notification, if they don't know what's going on, someone that they can, because there should be someone there working, correct? I mean, if you're working late, then they should have a number or
Absolutely.
something.
We can actually include most of the operators, I'm sure these days everyone has a cell phone almost, that we can be able to be sure that when we send the email to the city, that it can have the phone number of the operator to where they can be able to make contact with the person that's actually there on the yard to be able to say, hey, we've got, what's the status?
Okay.
But a lot of the time, you've got the North Little Rock Police Department that's there as our night watchman, where they can be made contact with as well to be able to know exactly what's going on too. And they all have keys to our operation to be able to get in, to be able to do that. So we're, in order to be able to have the protection for our guys there at night, we want to be sure that we have those gentlemen there to take care of us too.
Okay, so this is actually, by expanding, you're actually going to decrease the time that you're going to have to be working late, correct?
The amount of money we're spending to be able to do this, I sure hope so.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to have 2 more weeks and to give me and the 2 Ward 2 aldermen an opportunity to talk to that neighborhood. I'm going to be there actually tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And I want to tell them the predicament that we're in this I-3, I-2 special use, so that they'll understand that we're trying our best to do everything that we can do. I think Mr. Taylor and Ms. Robinson would like for me to do that, and I have agreed to do that. So I would like to hold that legislation where we are. I don't know if Mr. Height needs to withdraw his motion to suspend the rules.
It's on the floor now. The motion that's on the floor, and I understand we've had a second, is to suspend reading and move to, you suspend the rule, move to the 3rd reading. That's the motion that's on the floor.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and do that, and then we'll hold it. Can I do that?
Can.
All right, let's do that.
You're not going to vote on the main motion, you're just going to get it to the 3rd reading?
Exactly.
And wait 2 weeks?
Right. And we will call it 2 weeks from tonight, okay? Okay. All right, suspend the rules.
Just a second, Mayor.
Huh?
It's come to my attention that one mayor is possibly not going to be here in 2 weeks, and one of the aldermen is not going to be here in 2 weeks.
Well, it takes 6 to suspend the rules. So let's go ahead and vote to suspend the rules, and it'll only take 5 to pass it next time. So it won't matter that I'm not here. assuming that the 5 that I've identified so far are going to continue to not change their mind. I'll talk to y'all, Sammy, because I'm going to be at the U.S. Conference of Mayors next meeting, and Alderman Witcher's going to be on vacation, so let's
Mayor,
just
can I
see.
ask Mr. Carter a question, just for my clarification? This issue only concerns the piece of property that is being rezoned from C3 to I3, correct?
Yes.
Has nothing to do with their hours of operations in the property that they've already operating on, correct?
You are correct.
It's my knowledge that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they're going to use this piece of property that we're trying to get rezoned just for storage more than anything else. So they can free up some storage room on their other piece of property. So it's really going to go a long way to making sure that they don't have to pay any overtime, work extended hours, or start real early. Am I correct in those assumptions?
I don't know whether those assumptions are correct or not. That was what, I know they're asking to have the property rezoned from C3 to I3. That would change their rights on that use of property to all of those that are bound within I3.
But it won't affect, anything we do will not affect the property that they're already making noise on.
There's nothing on the floor right now that would affect in any way the zoning to the other 2 parcels, where they're currently operating.
Okay.
Ms. Robinson.
The mayor has stated that we'll hold this for 2 weeks, and he will meet with the neighborhood group tomorrow night to discuss this. So I'm for holding this for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Let's vote to suspend the rules, and then I'll hold it. On the motion.
On the motion to suspend the rules, Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
All right, we don't have to suspend the rules next time. If we're only going to have.
We'll read it the third time next time.
Okay. All right, you know, it's my opinion, and y'all know that I'm corporate friendly, needless to say, but we had 140 or 50 people in that neighborhood sign a petition, and I think we owe them a time for me to talk to them. And I think when we explain to them the situation and where we are, and that we will be watching, that our chief of police is aware of this situation, and if there's some raucous noise coming from there, we will address it. But I want to be able to tell them that, and I want these 2, they're their constituents, they need to have that opportunity. So that's why I'm holding it, and between now and 2 weeks from now, we'll talk some more, and hopefully tomorrow night will tell us a little bit what the feeling is going on out there.
Mayor, may I ask a quick question? Sure. Okay, have you closed on this piece of property?
No, they won't do.
This is a condition for the closing.
For closing, okay.
Rezoning is a condition for the
Are there any implications for you holding off closing a little longer?
The current owners of the property have closed their business to be able to facilitate this because the expectation was that they would
So
be
they're waiting
completed.
on their money?
They are waiting on their money, and they have, are waiting for a paycheck.
Do we know who it is? I mean, do we know him, Sam? Mr. Hillman?
I have not asked.
I will be more than happy to talk to them if you would like for me to, and tell them the situation, that you're not dragging your feet, it's us, and that we plan on reaching an agreement very soon. So if you feel like I need to do that, I don't mind at all.
Thank you for
So
that,
just let me know.
officer.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Anything else? May we be excused?
You may. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think this is the right thing to do. We're working together to try to make sure those people are heard. So thank you, everybody. And let's go on to new business.
R-1799, Mayor Smith.
Lee Scott.
A resolution accepting a FEMA grant for $600,000 under the FY 2016 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program for the purchase of thermal imaging cameras and protective equipment for the North Little Rock Fire Department, appropriating the city's local share from Act 833 funds.
Move for adoption.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross? Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
R17-100, Mayor Smith?
Mayor,
Yes.
can I say something?
Sure.
Billy Jones is here. Can we, I mean, he does a lot, our grant.
Yeah, Captain, you want to come up and kind of give us a quick overview of what we did and how successful you were, and kind of pat you on the back a little bit while you're here?
Oh, thank you. Good evening. No, this was one of the last projects we worked on that Chief Murphy had us directed on, that to purchase SCBA, our air packs that we wear, and this grant program. It's pretty ambitious to go after this much, but our air packs, the life on them is about 10 years, and next year is that 10 years. I mean, we were to the point of needing to, kind of do or die. It was either going to have to come to you guys with it in the budget for next year, and we know how we're all trying to save money. But no, this will replace 82 air packs, and the complete air pack is the harness, the cylinder, a spare cylinder to go with it, and a mask for 82 riding positions, which is every apparatus that we have, every fire truck that we have, and our standby trucks.
Great.
And also 92 masks, additional masks, that each individual person has their own mask, for, fit and everything. And also the second part of it was for 16 thermal imaging cameras, one to go on each inline apparatus, and one on the battalion chief's car and the safety officer's car. So,
Well, great job.
thank you.
Great job. We'd like to thank Congressman Hill, too, for holding our hand through this process.
Been a great help.
Ms.
I want
Ross?
to say it's probably the best $60,000 we've spent in a long time then.
Yeah, absolutely.
60,000 for 600, you can't beat
Yes,
that.
it is. It's very
Yeah.
good.
Thank
It's a-
you.
it's a
Thank
good
you,
deal.
Captain. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, guys.
17-100, please call it.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Lakewood Recreational Improvement District Number 4.
Move for adoption.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
R17-101, Mayor Smith?
Please call it.
A resolution amending the 2011 through 2015 Consolidated Plan, the 2015 Annual Action Plan, the 2016 and 2020 Consolidated Plan, and the 2016 Annual Action Plan of the City of North Little Rock in regard to the Home Investment Partnership Home Program and Community Development Block Grant CDBG Program.
Move for adoption.
Second.
And call a public hearing. Mr. Robinson?
I've had the opportunity to read the exhibits and to read this legislation, and I am opposed to this legislation. Although we're just talking about maybe $63,000 this year, next year it may be $80,000. However, all of us up here represent the low income, the elderly, and the disabled. And we're talking about taking rehab money and putting it into homes where they'll be able to maybe build one home per year. But I cannot help but think about the elderly person or the low-income person or the disabled person whose roof needs to be repaired and they have no supports in place, or the one who has a sewer line that needs to be repaired and they have no assistance to get that done. However, somebody may call the health department on them and shut their house down, and then they have to move out to move somewhere else. I'd like to see us continue to take care of our low-income, elderly, and disabled. Now, in my reading these exhibits, I didn't see anything in there, and you all may have to help me with it, that said what we would do on an emergency basis. Now, I even went to the HUD website to see what the monies can be used for. But in an emergency situation, what will our low income, our elderly, and disabled, what are they to do? If we take this money and we put all this money into building one home per year, what happens to our citizens, our residents who really need help and these people vote, what happens to them? That is my concern. So my vote is no.
Ms. Ross?
Can we get Melissa up here?
Yeah, Melissa?
I'd like to separate out a couple of issues. The home money is the grant that we received, the Home Investment Partnership Fund. And for 2016, we got right around a little over 200,000. That's the program that in the past was pretty much split to where 50% of that total allocation was going to the CHOTO program for new construction of affordable housing. And then out of the other 50%, part of that was going to the homeowner rehab program. And the home rehab program is the one where we can spend up to $25,000 in hard costs without having to do abatement of lead-based paint. And so that's the way the program has always been structured, is to cap it at $25,000 in hard cost. And that's the one that, due to some new restrictions that HUD has put in place over the past couple of years, the rules that we have to follow on that rehab require us to bring the house up to code, and also all the major systems of the house. When we walk away from it, we are pretty much needing to be able to certify that each of those major structures would have at least 5 years more useful life. And $25,000 just doesn't do what it used to do. And we've had situations where our rehab officers, Shannon Carroll has been working on home projects for, gosh, probably close to 20 years. And he has to work up a cost estimate ahead of time before we put it out for bid. And the last 2 projects that we had, he knew it was going to be really tight, but he did everything he could to try to make it work. And the bids came in at like $40,000. So we couldn't do them. And so that's what it's come down to, is just economics. And rehab costs have risen, as the mayor said. Then we also have to have someone to run that program. And for the amount of money that we're getting, that $200,000, we think it would be more feasible to do the home ownership.
You know, what I'm thinking about is, it doesn't cost $60,000 to put a roof on a house. It doesn't cost $60,000 to fix an elderly person or a low-income or a disabled person's sewer line. It's not going to cost $60,000 to fix electrical wiring. To me, we get more bang out of the money if we're able to help take care of 2 roofs, take care of 2 sewer lines.
Can we do a roof by itself?
Okay, now we're talking about community development block grant money. So with CDBG, we did have a housing rehab program. And for 2016, we had $170,000 allocated for that. And that was the program where, yes, we could spend up to $5,000 on a house. We could do a roof, we could do a sewer, we could do electrical. However, again, costs have gone up. And so a lot of the bids that we're getting for a roof are over $5,000. And the person could put in the difference, but we find that most are not able to. Same way with HVAC units. Those are getting up over $5,000. So with the CDBG situation, with the admin cost, the fact that rehab costs were rising to where we were losing a lot of the jobs because we couldn't get it done for under $5,000, and then the fact that the whole CDBG pot of money just keeps decreasing every year, and we're kind of splitting that between our drainage projects in the low-income areas and the rehab. That's why we went that way, to propose that we could service more people with the money we have doing the street and drainage projects. So we're kind of looking at 2 different issues, the home issue and then the CDBG issue, 2 different rehab programs. But in both cases, the money's just not there to feasibly run those programs anymore. And we can show, it's one of the reasons Washington is wanting to do away with the programs is they don't feel we're serving enough people. If we put money on a drainage project, we're able to report by the census tract and by the block group how many people we've served. That's quite a bit more than, I think we were averaging maybe 30 to 40 houses a year that we were able to help on the emergency program. Whereas with a drainage project, depending on the block group, we could be 800 people or 2,000 people. So when the numbers are up there in Washington, the drainage projects look like we're helping a lot more low-income persons.
Ms. Ross?
No, she answered my question.
Mr. Taylor?
So, okay, help me understand something. So, two programs, one is 25,000 and the other one is 5,000. So on the $5,000 program, these houses don't have to be brought to code?
No, we can do just a particular repair, like a roof or a HVAC, electrical, or gas. That's pretty much the four big ones that we cover. But again, we have to, the administrative costs to run that program, we've got a full-time person having to run that because it's a very cumbersome program to run. We're checking income, getting warranty deeds, we put liens on the property that have to be released. There's just a lot of administrative work.
Yeah.
And then, so we're just looking at that cost. I mean, the work would not be an issue if we had the money to fund it.
So you get 170, and then you have to pay somebody 50?
50 to 60 with fringe.
Okay, so 60. So then you got 110. But then you're still fighting the issue of the repairs are exceeding the $5,000.
Yes. And I will say it surprised me, but the number of calls, we've done 3 emergencies this year. Here we are in June. The number of calls for those type of programs, for those $5,000 programs, they've actually decreased a bit. For as long as I've been over at community development, we always had a waiting list, and we could never keep up. That's not the case now. So there's been a bit of a decrease in the demand for that as well.
Well, I think that's because, I mean, we still get the calls. I think it's because the word is out that they're not going to get the money anyway, so why call?
Well, I don't know the reason. I just know that it's decreased.
That's what they tell us.
We've actually done outreach though, because
Yeah.
we also, part of the problem too is we have what's called a timeliness deadline. So we have to expend money by a certain deadline each year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a drainage project, that's a huge chunk of money that we can spend. We were getting spread so thin to where in each ward we were having to accrue money, sometimes 2 years, most of the time 3 before we could start. So that hurts us on our timeliness. And then last year, we were doing a lot more outreach. I mean, the program's been out there for a long time. Like you say, there's word of mouth. It was never a problem in making people aware that we had the program, but we did outreach. We sent flyers out to the neighborhood groups, and we still have gotten less calls than we have in the past.
Well, I understand your plight, being in real estate, and I'm sure Alderman Harris probably understands as well. Bringing the house to code and some of the houses that are out there for $25,000 is not going to happen. And then when you get into roof repairs and HVACs and those kind of repairs, if it's a simple repair, yes, but most of the time on a HVAC, you have to bring it up to the industry standard, which could be pretty expensive. So although I don't like it, I understand it.
And I will say, when you asked before on a 5,000, does it have to be brought up to code? Just that particular repair, yes, would have to pass, our city inspectors would have to pass code.
So if you replace the HVAC, then it had to be brought up to whatever the SEER rating is to date. And I don't know, it's probably 18 or 20 now, so.
Ms. Ross?
One other thing I just wanted to add on top of this is that I know that we've encountered this in Dark Hollow, as in no work could be done in the floodplains.
Correct.
And so that, that's hurt us in Ward 1 quite a bit, is with the floodplains.
Ward 2,
And right, and Dixie also too. So that's that's huge right there, so.
All right, is anybody else in the audience? We're in public comment section right now. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
No.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
R-17-102, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
A resolution approving and certifying amounts of liens to be filed with the Pulaski County Tax Collector against certain real properties in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas as a result of grass cutting expenses and abatement of other said nuisances.
For adoption.
Second.
I'll call a public hearing. Anyone here to speak on grass cutting expenses and abatement of other nuisances? Seeing none, close the public hearing on the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Ordinances of 1745, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
An ordinance dissolving Counts Massey, Collins Road Municipal Improvement District Number 1, accepting funds from the Improvement District and earmarking funds from the extension, for the extension of Counts Massey Road, declaring an emergency, first reading.
Move suspend the readings.
Second.
Motion to suspend all readings.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
How about a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
O-1746, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 7697, the zoning ordinance to include a new Article 22 covering airport zoning, declaring an emergency, first reading.
Move suspend the readings.
Second.
Motion to suspend all readings.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes. Move for adoption.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor? Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson? Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
O-1747, Mayor Smith.
Please call it.
An ordinance adopting general service rules and regulations for the North Little Rock Electric Department, declaring an emergency, first reading.
Let me tell you what I'd like to do here, is we can certainly read it a couple of times. The electric company and legal and admin have worked on this for maybe 2 years. So this is not something that we just threw together last weekend. So I know y'all had a chance to look at it for a week and try to digest it. I've looked at this thing and tried to figure out all the bad things and all the good things about it. And I think we've got it to where we're all comfortable with it. And that's, half the battle right there. But I want to discuss it tonight. Electric is here. And then I would like to set a public hearing for the next council meeting to let anybody else that would like to out in the world to talk about it. So with that, do I have a motion? How about a motion to suspend the rules and on one, and we'll read the
Move to
second.
suspend the rules, placed on a second reading.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance adopting general service rules and regulations for the North Little Rock Electric Department, declaring an emergency, second reading.
Why don't we go ahead and take it to third, then we don't have to worry about that 3/4 vote next week.
Move to suspend the rules, placed on its third reading.
Second.
On the motion.
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Okay, James, you want to come up and kind of give us an executive summary of this, and between you and Jill and Scott, we ought to be able to answer anybody's questions if they have any.
You want us to go ahead and read it the third time while he's coming up?
That'd be probably a good idea.
An ordinance adopting general service rules and regulations for the North Little Rock Electric Department, declaring an emergency, third and final reading.
Yeah.
You ready for the overview?
Yes.
We're working under rules and regs from 1983. All of the technology's changed, And to be honest, some of the business practices in the present rules are poor, to say the least. We're changing deposits. The refund of deposits used to, under the old rules, 12 months of payment history, we'd refund your deposit back to you. That's going away. We'll refund it only when your account is closed out. We're shortening the payment time between when a bill is due and then when we cut them off. Right now, under the new rules, you get 14 days from the due date, then 7 more days where you're delinquent, and then on the 8th day, we're going to cut you off. Some of the fees that we're charging for tampering with the meter, cut seals, stealing, I guess they call it diversion, but those fines have been increased. And I guess I'm open for any other questions y'all might have. Those are the big changes that are being made.
Yeah, y'all take time to look at that. You know, probably I get more phone calls on electric hookups and turnoffs than we do anything, and we really feel like this is fair. It's what most utilities do, and we've been running our utility from the 50s basically, and so I think we're bringing this into the 21st century. Electric company now, of course, is overseeing utilities accounting, so I think this is a good time to make these changes. Everybody knows what the rules are, and it's not call your alderman and get your deposit lowered. You know, that's not fair to us, and we have to have an industry standard. So I think we're there. I think this is a good thing, but I'd like for y'all to really look at it, because, I mean, we've come up with every reason that there is, and if y'all can come up with a new one, we certainly we don't mind looking into it and telling you why we're doing something, so.
I mean, I think the deposit, we're going with a soft check through a credit company. I think presently it's arbitrary. You know, we look at the person, look at a little bit of history that we have on file, and then we set the deposit. With this, we're going to go with a quick, soft credit check. They'll come back within minutes of what the deposit should be, or a code, and then we'll have those codes set to what the deposit will be for that particular customer.
Right.
And back several years ago, I think our debt was $600,000 a year. David Milton has done a real good job of bringing that debt down. But last year it was $250,000. And I think we've hit the wall. That's as best as we can do under our present rules and regulations. And we need some of these changes to help bring that debt on down to a reasonable amount.
Yeah, remember that $250,000 is a write-off. I mean, that's how much we average losing for the last 2 or 3 years, and that's unacceptable. And we think these new rules and regs are going to help us a lot. Mr. Taylor?
So, 2 questions. First question is, how are you going to notify the end user that this rule has changed as far as when you're going to turn them off? And then second question is this tier of deposit. What's the range?
It's a 100 if you have decent credit, 200 if you're borderline, and then 300 if you have poor credit or no history at all.
That's for residential.
Yes, residential.
Commercial's different. Commercial's a 2-month.
Yeah, we look at a 2-month, 2.5 month bill that we compute after they give us the data loading on a new business or an existing business, and that would be their deposit.
Right.
So, as Alderman Robinson stated earlier, low income, elderly, disabled, don't have any credit, don't have a good payment history. So we're gonna charge them more of a deposit? We're gonna charge the people that don't have the money more of the deposit than we do people that have the money?
Yes and no. We're looking at, in the near future, to go to a prepay. With our new metering system, you've heard of them, smart meters. We can now, you can come in and buy X amount of kilowatt hours, prepaid. And we will notify you 2 days before you're about to run out, or what's calculated that you're going to be running out of power, send you out a notice.
This is going on across the country.
Yes.
And I would be willing to bet in 5 years, we're going to be 90% there. But I would be willing to bet, what do you think, James, that we would be able to do that prepay 6 months from now, a year from now?
Jill?
You should have brought her.
Come to the microphone, please.
Yeah, I know, I don't speak very loud anyway. I spoke with our meter technician today, and he had said that he felt like that we would be able to start bringing those pieces together by the end of the year, and so hopefully we would see it in sometime in 2018. It really is a good option for the low-income, handicapped, or elderly in that it waives the deposit, and if they happen to have left us with a bad debt, they don't have to pay that back immediately. They would be able to pay a portion of it and still have their electricity on. So this is it's a win-win for the utility and for all of our customers.
It's a good program.
Interesting.
Prepay's awesome.
Oh, I know. It's kind of, yeah, I mean, it's like having a go phone. You get it, you're about to run out of minutes, you get a text message, say, hey, we need some more money.
I think one of the things they found out with prepay is it allows people to pay their bills according to when they have income. When they've got, so, and you pay by how much you've got, so you don't have to worry about, wham, this huge electric bill hits, you know, and now you're trying to figure out a way to come up with the money. You can pay as you go and prepay. And
I personally have a relative who is disabled, and he lives within North Little Rock, and he pays his electric bill every 2 weeks by phone because he knows he's not going to be able to pay it all at once. So I know that this is a struggle for people, and that would be the last thing we want is to add a struggle, so we are really trying to make it so that it would be easier on them.
Well, good deal. I appreciate that.
Ms. Ross?
No, I'm just thinking that the pay-as-you-go too, also to me, that would be like a conservation thing, because if you know you're running out of gas, you're going to slow that car down, so.
They do show that the prepay does help with energy efficiency, because now they're worried about, conserving so that maybe, they can watch the football game or whatever. They're going to make adjustments.
And they'll be able to go online too, won't they, and see how much power they have left?
Yes, what I talked with Terrence about today is that there would be an app that they would be able to monitor all the time.
Okay, we'd like to, of course, recognize Nikki and Terrell for being here. Thank you.
Yeah, I brought my entourage with me.
Yeah, they do a great job of holding down the fort over there. Ms. Robinson?
Oh, I just want to say that I know some folks in Dallas, and they have the prepay, and they love it.
Yeah, we're heading that way as quick as we can get there, I promise you. Okay, we're going to hold that. We read it 3 times. Mr. Height?
Well, Mr. Bryan's up there. Can I ask him about or you mean wait till public comments about a scam that was brought to my attention today?
Wanna talk to
They may
James?
have called you about it. Can I ask him now?
Sure.
I got a phone call and an email today from one of my constituents. It concerns an email that he received from Arcadia Power.
Never heard of them.
Well, I never heard of them either, but it's asking people to opt out of their present electrical supplier account and enroll with them. They get a $10 credit. Have you heard? Has anybody heard anything about that?
I have not, but that sounds illegal.
Well,
aware of that?
I'm not, but we deal with scams quite a bit. We deal with scams quite a bit with different things. If you would forward that email, and then we can make a post on the social media and website to make sure people are aware of the new one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to have a public hearing at the next meeting, Ms. Whitby, on this issue, and then we'll vote on it at that point in time.
Yes, sir. 1748, Alderman Ross and White.
Please call it.
An ordinance waiving formal bidding requirements for storm drain replacement project on Glenmere Road in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas, appropriating funds, declaring an emergency. First reading.
Move to suspend the readings, and then I want to explain something too.
Second.
On the motion to suspend all readings?
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
I'm never for waiving bids, but this is a time issue. We've got one house that's got a sinkhole in the backyard and two others that are we're trying to beat the rains is what it is. If we get another rain, we're going to be in trouble there. It's $24,000. It's $4,000 over what we normally would have to bid. And the time that it's going to take to go out and get the bids, that's the only reason we're doing this.
Okay, how about a motion?
1,000 over.
Move for adoption.
Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
O 1749, Alderman Harris.
Please call.
An ordinance granting a special use to allow a car sales lot in a C3 zone for a certain real property located at 1201 Parkway Drive in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas, declaring an emergency. First reading.
Motion. You want to make a motion?
I make a motion.
Suspend the rules, put it on
I don't
second
want to
reading?
spend the rules.
You want to spend all rules?
I don't want to spend them. I want to let it go through the process.
Okay, all right. Motion to suspend the rules, put it on second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Okay, you want to hold it, Ron? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We're going to hold that till the next.
You're holding it.
Okay.
We can talk about it if you want to.
Anybody got questions? Comments right now? Okay. Let's go on to the next one.
O 1750, Alderman Harris.
Hold that one.
Okay. O 1751, Alderman Taylor.
Oh, please call it.
An ordinance to reclassify certain real property located at 403 East Broadway Street in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas, from I-1 to C6 to allow commercial development by amending ordinance number 7697, declaring an emergency. First reading.
Move to suspend the readings, and I will explain.
On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Well,
Mr. Taylor?
what this is this is a Burger King that is at the end of its useful life.
Was half of the property zone wrong? Is that what this is?
Yeah, but they're gonna tear it down and build a new Burger King, so we're just cleaning up the zoning and allowing them to put up a new building.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good explanation, and I agree. How about a motion?
Move for adoption.
Yeah. Can we get them to tear down the brake place, muffler place at the same time?
I've got a second. Do I have a second? On the motion?
Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
On the emergency, Ross?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Concludes new business.
Okay, public comment. Mr. Ard, James Ard?
First thing I'll say, Mayor, you did a great job today on the radio.
Thank
Go
you.
to the other talk shows, there's several of them on. I listened to the biggest part of it. You did an excellent job.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ard.
Next part, the electric department did a good job. I like what they come up with. And I may be in trouble with it, and people know this, but I do think since you're sitting there at a computer and turning your electricity on and off, it'll be a little bit cheaper. It doesn't cost you that much to turn the electricity on and off with a computer. And I may be in trouble for saying that. And also, not everybody knows that you don't have to call the 800 number anymore. Y'all got facilities that automatically pop it out. So, okay, here's where you're not going to be happy, but I'm sorry. J. Hook Wrecker still hasn't made contact with me. A representative of their board told me I couldn't do anything about it because it wasn't my car, but it was my money they was trying to make me come up with to pay the bill when they had already told me what to bring, and I was given the cash like I was supposed to. If we have J. Hook Wrecker as one of our city people to tow cars, I think somebody ought to check them out. I don't know who's the worst crook Jehu Recker, or Victoria Lee. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mark Moore.
Thank you very much. Mayor Smith, City Council members, good evening. My name is Mark Moore. I'm here to petition the City Council to reverse a designation for condemnation on 2 properties located in the city of North Little Rock, 2 apartment complexes. One is 2225 Findlay Drive, and the other one is 2600 John Ashley. I have both of those properties under contract to purchase, and is at the title company, the designation for being condemned is blocking me from getting the financing from my bank to rehab those properties. What I am prepared to do is to deposit with the city a $75,000 cashier's check or bond issued by my insurance company to cover the demolition of both of those properties and give me the opportunity to close on that property and to rehab that property.
Cap, I think, Mark, that the rule calls for the bond, of course, but it has to be a cash bond. What we have found over the years that when there's a failure, we have to spend 2 or 3 years fighting an insurance company to get our money. So the council has have stated that it has to be a cash bond. Am I correct, council?
You are. I think he was saying he had a cashier's check.
Yeah, either or.
Okay, if you've got,
that's not a problem.
All you need to do is get with our legal department, and they will work out an agreement with you and a cash bond requirement, and then we can remove the condemnation off of that so that you can go in there and rehab it.
Yes, sir. I have that done by the end of next week.
Okay, we'll get with legal. That's what they do, and we have a process for that. So
And who is the
we would
person
love
for
for
the
you to
legal?
take that property and make it good. So more power
I'll talk
to
to you
you.
right after this meeting.
Pardon me?
I'll talk to you right after this meeting.
All right.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Any city council members have anything for good of the order?
Take me outside.
I would like, Ms. Robinson?
I'm just gonna say that I am disappointed that we will no longer have anything in place or any type of emergency funds for roof to be repaired or sewer line done. You know, I understand what you all say, but still, I am disappointed.
Linda, Ms. Robinson, I am also. But when you look at the money and you have to make a management decision, you had made the same decision because it's just the right thing to do. And I hate it, but we'll try to work with those people that have emergencies like that in some other way. I would like to remind everybody, we've got 2 town halls coming up the rest of this month. One is next week. It's June the 21st, Wednesday night, June the 21st, Lakewood United Methodist Church at 6 o'clock. And the next one is Thursday, June the 29th at Sherman Park at 6 o'clock. And I will be there to discuss the upcoming election. Mr. Baxter?
June 19th, you're not speaking to Amboy?
That's for a neighborhood meeting.
Right.
Yeah. These are town halls. Everybody's invited to these, so you don't have to be a member of the neighborhood association. So these are, we hope we'll have big crowds so that I can have an opportunity to tell our story. So with that, how about a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ross, Taylor, Robinson, Baxter, Harris, Height, and Witcher.
You stand up.